Yeah. Oh my God, these rings are killing my glasses, huh? So good evening, everybody. It's April 1st of 2022. This is a lot of people call it April Fool's Day. There's a good group of us that we have a different meaning for today. Here, let me help you out with that. Ready? There you go. Yeah. You'll know. Those who know. Those who don't, well, I'm about to tell you. This is the 129th birthday of the U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer. On April 1st of 1893, the rank of Chief Petty Officer was created. And the top 10% of the Navy enlisted force, that is, make chief. And chief is, I'm about to piss off a whole bunch of fucking chiefs. By the way, chief is supposed to be a humbling experience. When you're supposed to have some humility, learn to be humble, and realize that we're now making decisions that affect sailors' lives and stuff like that. And I forgot. Hello, this is live from Will's Gayroge, and as you can see, we're coming to you live from the craft room, which I've kind of commandeered as the Lego room, and we're doing big Lego things in here. But for this is live from Will's Gayroge. So back to the whole. We're supposed to be as chiefs, we're supposed to be humble, learn some humility, and I find that we fail miserably in this endeavor. We are arrogant, we're pompous, we're one of the 25 things that I tell chiefs that I had to learn or relearn as a chief is, if you have to use your rank to make a point, you've already failed. Because I'm the chief, that's why. I was like, really, schmuck? Is that what that anchor on your fucking hat means? You're the chief? Holy shit. Here, I thought you were the king of the fraternal brotherhood, and you're a damn idiot. But, the problem is that, we can write about somebody's leadership in their eval, and the board sees God, this thing looks, is this wrong? It looks like that's a little better. So we write about their eval and say they're a great leader and stuff, but are they really? Are we advancing the wrong people? I think so sometimes. I mean, I've seen some mess going through during August and September. Like, gee, what is wrong with these people? Yes, I'm a Hufflepuff too, by the way. But so 129 years of being chief petty officers, and let me tell you what I've noticed is that I've got some friends that we talk about what it means to be chiefs all the time. Because you talk to a lot of sailors, especially young junior sailors, if they actually care about the Navy and they care about making rank, you'll hear a lot of them say, oh yeah, I couldn't wait to be a chief, or I wanted to be a chief, or one of their goals, their career goals is to make chief. Mine never was. I never thought about making chief. I tell a lot of people that my career sucked. Really, to be honest with you, it sucked. I had to fight for every ounce of respect that I ever got. I had to, and the fight wasn't just respect as like, I'm a second class petty officer, I'm a third class petty officer, you're going to respect my rank and authority. It was like, I'm a decent technician. I know how to fix S3 gear on a vast bench. I know how to fix S3 gear on a cast bench. I know how to fix a cast bench or a vast bench or solder a circuit board. Like, I know how to do these things and I'm fucking good at it. But couldn't get the respect. So So I see a lot of people that they put on the hat, and by God they demand respect, and like, no, you earn it. You earn it every day, just like I had to earn every ounce of respect that I ever had. So humility and being humble. Oh yeah, I learned that a long time ago. And then, oh, you want to talk about humility and being humble? Humility. Learn some humility. How about being gay during Don't Ask, Don't Tell? You can't go out there and say that you're gay and keep your Navy career. So yeah, it sucked. I'm telling you, it was the first 17 and a half years was under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and it sucked. Hey Mark, how's it going? Um, and then making chief was supposed to be pinnacle. I found out that I was HIV positive in March of 2009, and I made chief in September of 2009. I just wanted to retire. Can I retire? I just want to finish out my career and retire. Making chief, this is icing on the cake. And I really think that like I laugh a lot and I say they made this guy a chief because I when they taught us what it means to be a chief in my 6 week process, I took it to heart. It meant something to me, and it continues to mean something to me. I believe in the brotherhood of the chief petty officer that we no longer have. There are people that want to blow sunshine and rainbows up your ass and tell you that we still have the brotherhood of the chief petty officer, but we don't. I honestly, there are people today that if they were to call me up and say, Will, I need help, I'd stop everything I do, get in the car, and go. Because that's what we're supposed to do. They need help, I'm going to help. Now, if you need financial help, I'm sorry about it. I only make enough money for me. I can't help you out financially. But, when it comes to like, you need me to physical help, you need a shoulder to cry on, by all means, call me anytime. I'm good. But the brotherhood or the sisterhood or the whatever of the chief petty officer, it's not there. It's sad. It's sad that it's not there anymore. And I really wish it would come back. I think that we have a lot to learn, and but I honestly think that by design, it was intentionally destroyed. I think that you had master chiefs that went overseas during the Persian Gulf War, and they saw how E9s were treated in the Marine Corps and the Army and the Air Force, and they were like, well, by God, why aren't we treated the same way? Well, because the chief's mess is completely different than the staff NCOs for the Army, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps. We are just different. Hey, honey, I see you're on break. Yay. You should be coming home soon then. And so I think those Master Chiefs came back from those E9s. They're not Master Chiefs, they're E9s. Just like, there's Senior Chiefs and there's E8s, and then there's Chiefs and E7s. And, these 7s, 8s, and 9s saw how it was to be overseas, and like, they just did what they were told. When you told somebody to do something, they just did it. And they came back and they were like, why can't we make the mess the same way? Well, because the mess doesn't work that way. And the mess suffers because of it. And that's why I honestly believe that, it's not the PC stuff. Because, if it was PC stuff, there's a lot of things that the military still does that wouldn't pass a PC smell. And I'm using PC because that's gonna move into my second topic for today's discussion, which is words have meaning and sloppy debate. But it's not the PC thing. It's the if we break down the camaraderie and the mess, if we can get them to not feel the camaraderie and the teamwork and the brotherhood, then we've got them right where we want them, and they start breaking down chiefs for being what they are. But I still believe in it. I see Pat Conlon's on. He's a retired Master Chief. If he was to say, Will, I need your help. My house got flooded and I need some help, I'd be right there to help him out. Like, that's what the brotherhood is supposed to do. And I'll tell you right now, I don't see it anymore. I wish we still had it, but we don't have it. So, but anyway, again, Chiefs, happy birthday. Here's to another 129 years, and I hope that we continue to be the backbone of the Navy that makes the Navy run. Even though officers run the Navy, Chiefs make the Navy run. So, Happy birthday. Alrighty, so let's underway, shift colors. Alrighty. So with that, we're gonna go on to my next topic of words have meaning and sloppy debate. So like I was just saying, like, you know, if anything, the PC movement was proof positive that words have meaning. Words have meaning, and you know, I talked about it earlier. Leah Thomas won the women's swim meet, and you know, there's people in my community. So I'm gonna give this to you. I'll even put it up here so you can see it. It's the LGBTQIAA2SP. It stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, two spirits, and pansexual. It's the fucking alphabet community, in my opinion. It's like, we're like, seriously, just come on in. We'll throw another alphabet on there, or a letter on the alphabet. So I just call it the LGBT community, and like the rest of it, I'm sorry, your special little place in history is Crimea River. But so Leah Thomas won the swim meet, and you know, and people are saying, you know, oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired of this transphobic stuff, and you know, so I talked about this in a Facebook post that I made about how a phobia is an irrational fear. So to call somebody a transphobe is actually a misnomer as well, because trans is a prefix, meaning to transition from something. So to call somebody a transphobe, you have an irrational fear of a transition. So when I say words have meaning, and this is, you know, this, it's important to the words that have meaning, because if you're going to try to make a point, then the words that you're using have to have the meaning and whatever. And if you're going to use slang, it's just sloppy. It's sloppy. So like I use the Misia is a hate or loathing of something, right? And so let's call it what it is. Like gender is the base word. Trans is what people are trying to say, like you hate something. Well, a phobia is more of a mental illness, right? Like I have an irrational fear of spiders, right? It's not an irrational fear of transgender people. It's you just fucking hate them. Like don't fake the funk. You hate them. So amnesia is a hate or loathing of something. So if you're transgender missic, you hate people who are transgender. So I think we need to really focus on saying what we mean, if that's what you mean. But here's where I have an issue with sloppy debate. Words have meaning and then sloppy debate, right? When my side of the you know, my people, I'm gonna take ownership of them. I'm a gay man. I'm gonna take ownership of the LGBT community and say, when my people fail to make a valid point that has merit and respects the opponent, they cut to sloppy debate. They just do. It's what happens, and you can hear it all the time. Because sloppy debate stops a real debate and true progress suffers. Like we're not going to win the hearts and minds of people if all we're going to do is start calling them names, because you can't prove your point is just, then it's just as messed up. You're calling them a name? We're going to resort to name calling. Really? Oh, I can't make my point in a manner that brings you to my side, because you're like, you know what, you're right. You make a very valid point. Your point has merit. I'm going to agree with you now because you're correct. So what actually it does is it proves that your point is flawed. If you have to resort to name calling, your point is flawed. So go back to the drawing board. Do some research. Do your homework. Make a better point. But when you start name calling, it gives your opponent the moral high ground. It really does. Sorry about it. It's just my viewpoint. You give your opponent the moral high ground, you've lost. And no matter how right or correct you may be, you start name calling. You're just, oh really? Like now we're on a preschool playground, and you're just gonna, oh, you're an any poo poo head because you don't agree with me. So no matter how right you are when you resort to name calling, your opponent will always have the moral and ethical high ground, right? moral, ethical high ground, and you've just lost. Like, come back with better debate. If your point is failing to the point where you have to name call somebody, then come back. Because the trifecta of what we're looking at, right, is I want to be fair, I want to be equal, and I want to treat others with dignity and respect. And I try to be fair to everyone. I try as hard as I possibly can to treat everybody equally. I'm going to treat you the way you treat me, and I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect until you no longer treat me well. Then we're no longer being treated equally. I'm gonna probably have to say some shit, but I think that sloppy debate, words having meaning in sloppy debate really kind of is a good transition into my third topic for tonight, which is how I think that Will Smith and Donald Trump are symptoms of they're it's like if you go to a doctor and you're like, look, I'm having these symptoms, tell me what's wrong with me, right? Well, Will Smith and Donald Trump are symptoms of in what I think is socialism. I think socialism is a cancer that is eating away at the fabric of America, and socialists and socialism is now don't get me wrong, we have social programs, like the fire department is a social program. Part of my tax dollars goes to fund the local fire department. They put out a house fire 2 doors down from me last weekend. It's a good thing. We have social programs in place. But socialism, taking money away from people who actually work and giving it to people who aren't working, I mean, that's socialism. Because everybody gets treated fairly and equally in socialism. And I'm sorry, we don't live in a socialist world. We live in a capitalist world. Now I'm gonna take a step back and say it's not necessarily a capitalist world. We live in a crony capitalist world. A true capitalist world, like during this whole too big to fail of bailout banks and corporations. No, I'm sorry. If you're building a shitty product and we don't want to buy it anymore, then you need to fucking go under. Chevrolet, Dodge, Chrysler, GM. Ford was the only one that didn't need a bailout because people were buying their cars because they make good cars. The other companies needed a bailout. They were too big to fail. No, you needed to fail. And so the problem is, right? And why I think Donald Trump, we can let's just agree that we're not going to talk about the racist bullshit, because yes, I think that there's a certain underlying tone there, but let's get away from the South and say, like, if there's not a major city, which cities tend to be very liberal, which I have no problem with. I'm a liberal. Liberals comes from the root word of liberty, and liberty means freedom. So I absolutely believe in liberty. I'm a liberal. I believe in freedom for everybody. But I don't believe that the government knows what's best for me. And that's the problem with the left right now. The left is all about big government, and government knows what's best. And listen to what Uncle Sugar says, because Uncle Sugar is telling you how to think, what to say, and how to feel. And if you don't agree with Uncle Sugar, then you're the problem. Well, no, you're the problem if you think Uncle Sugar is right. I know what's best for me. I know how I should think. I know how I should feel. I know what I'm going to say. And I'm sorry if it goes against your sensibilities. Sorry about it. But I'm also a conservative, because conservative means conservation. And so why aren't we all conservationists? I would say the left is very much conservative too. They want to conserve the planet. They want to make sure that we protect the planet and don't pollute it more than what it already is. Aren't you you're a conservative, you're a conservationist. Like, that's the point. And so as a conservative, I want to conserve the fundamental beliefs of the Constitution and not have it destroyed by people who are like, oh, well, that means, all men are created equal. What about women? Well, it means fucking women, dumbass. That's what we're saying. So I think that Will Smith and Donald Trump are are a symptom of the fact that, we need to make America great again. And I agree with Donald Trump in that, but not necessarily in the sense that he's saying, we need to bring back, white power and all this other crap. I think that what we need to do is making America great again is a rally cry to our elected officials to put America first again. And I want to put America first again. And I challenge you to put America first again. What did we just learn over COVID? During COVID, we learned that we don't manufacture anything over here. We were so dependent on China that when China shut down because they were ravaged with COVID, and they said, nope, they're gonna socially distance and lock down and flatten their curve and prevent the spread of COVID. Everything we needed stopped. Like, are we so arrogant that we want cheap tchotchke shit that we're going to completely stop manufacturing everything in this country and everything's got to come from China? I said, and again, the Make America Great Again is a rally cry to our elected officials to put America first again and to focus on what's best for our country, not another country. I don't give a fuck what's best for Canada. Canadians know what's best for Canada. Not us. That's arrogance. We need to stop being fucking arrogant. What's best for America is what's best for America. And if it's good for Canada, hey, great. If it's not good for Canada, fuck them. Well, we're not Canadians. Just like we're also not Mexicans. What's good for America may be good for Mexico, may not be good for Mexico. But if it's not, fuck them. We need to make America first. Because I'll tell you what, China's making China first. Russia's making Russia first. Now granted, Russia's also fucking up and invading the Ukraine right now, which is not going to bode well for them. I mean, it's already not boding well for them. But, we need to make America number one again and stop being so dependent on other countries. And I will say, like, the other one, when I say Will Smith is also a part of that, the left has the policy of we need to stop bullies, and I'll tell you right now, I think the right has the we need to stop bullies too, but I think we go about it in two totally different ways, and the left's mentality is not working. It's just not. We forgot that the way to stop a bully is to put them in their place, because a friend of mine said that bullies don't respect boundaries, and that's 100% correct. Bullies don't respect boundaries. You can sit there and say, like, hey, you need to stop. Here's my boundary. They're not going to respect the boundary. They're going to continue to push until you may have to walk up and smack them and tell them to keep your wife's name out of your mouth. Like, that's, I totally respect what he did, because here's the thing, and I'm gonna I respect violence or whatever else. It's not that it's violent. I mean, it may be violence, but we're still animals. We're still animals in the animal kingdom, and animals understand violence, right? And I'm sorry if you're scared, you don't like the violence, but here's the thing, right? When women were offended, they'd smack a man open hand. In civilized society, back in civilized society, when society was way more civilized than we've bastardized it to, right? A man would actually smack another man. Now, in some civil society, a man smacking another man was a challenge to a duel, but it was still a smack. You've stepped across the line. Here's your smack back. Get back, bitch. Right? Big difference between a punch and a smack. And like when Chris Rock said, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Yeah, he did. And you know what? Like he said, you've crossed the line. Now, whether it was was it staged or not, I don't care. Even if it was staged, still, it sent a powerful message. You want to stop a bully? Smack him. Let him know that you can't be bulldozed. It's how I stop my bully. Because we all have the stories of being bullied. Every last one of us can say, we were bullied in the past, and I'm one of them. I was bullied. You know how I stopped my bullying? I stood up to him, picked him up off the ground, slammed him up against a brick wall. And you know what? He stopped bullying me. And the word got out, don't fuck with Means, because he'll fuck you up. They all realized, oh, I've got boundaries, and I will be more than happy to show them. And I think it's one of the things. I have no problems if a kid gets into a fight in school. None. Because it's showing, look, I've got boundaries, and you've crossed them. And now you're going to have to suffer the consequences of crossing my boundaries. And by neutering our society by saying, oh no, you don't do, no violence, blah blah blah. No, sometimes violence is the answer, and we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that. Not violence shouldn't be the only answer, but violence sometimes is the answer. So that's just where I'm coming from there. And then, oh, here we go. This one's gonna be quick, I guess, because it's 7:26 now, and I'm going into my fourth and final topic, which is LGBT. Is there an LGBT agenda in Florida? Does it exist, and is Disney leading the way? So I will say that I didn't get to the Disney research, and I'm not going to bastardize Disney's name just yet, but I will point out some things that was told to me by a cast member. But I think that there's an LGBT agenda in Florida, and I'll tell you why. I had the most amazing and enlightening conversation with a parent of, I can't remember if he was 11 or 12, but of a trans kid, right? And she was just adamant. I mean, like, I've never seen somebody argue so adamantly that a teacher should keep the confidence of a child, and that a teacher shouldn't tell the parent what the kids are discussing with the teacher. Because that child needs to be able to confide in that teacher, because the teacher has the kid for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, which is basically glorified babysitting. And that if a child, now again, we're talking about kindergarten through third grade. Right? Kindergarten through third grade. Now, I've done a little bit of research and come to this conclusion that a lot of times we equate with an adult perspective what we did as children. And if we really think back about some things, we can see that, like, maybe there's some abuse going on in the house, or a 5-year-old mimics what they see. Mike was talking to a second grade teacher and said that this little second grade girl was you could obviously see that like the things that she was seeing at home is what she was doing in class with this little boy. And and of course they were dating and whatever, like dating really, like dating, no dating. It's all record and play back at 5. And so I asked, we're in this group, and this one parent again of the 12-year-old trans kid said that she knew what attraction was at 5 years old. And I'm like, did you really? And I asked the rest of the group, and there was another one that was like, oh yeah, he knew he was attracted to boys at 5 years old. And I was like, attraction? I think we can find that I think girls are pretty, but how is it told to me that from a 5-year-old perspective, if you're talking about a 5-year-old, they do not and cannot comprehend sexuality as hormones aren't present. So there's a hormonal, we talk about hormonal imbalances when women are pregnant, but we don't think about attraction and sexuality as being hormonal, but it is. And this is where it comes from the Jean Peugeot model for cognitive development, that that this is what happens, right? And what was interesting with this woman who was just adamant about how, like, the teacher needs to keep the child's secret and all this other stuff, right? I gave multiple examples of how a parent and teacher should collaborate, and that and even all the examples that I gave was just completely unacceptable, right? Which, this teacher should have the right to keep the secrets from the parents, right? Because the child the child confided in the teacher. And one of the things that the teacher doesn't have, and this is one of the things, like, again, research. A child can't give informed consent, right? So this is one of the things that's interesting. Like, informed consent. A child can't give informed consent. The parent has to give informed consent for the child. Teachers are under a fiduciary responsibility to report abuse. And sexualizing children is unethical, and it's abuse. Right? So that's where the teacher has to report abuse. A teacher does not have the same kind of protections that a doctor-patient does. There's no confidentiality between a teacher and a child, right? Like, I have the right to know what you're telling my child. I have the right to know what my child's telling you. It's my child, right? It's kind of like I own my dog. I get to know what my fucking dog is doing. I get to know what my child is doing. Until the age of emancipation, when they can go off and do their own thing, right? But so I talked to another friend of mine who is a constant viewer here, and he said that he found out that his daughter was identifying as a boy in school in the 7th grade, and the school never notified him or his wife, and they were livid. So they thought that they were treating their daughter with dignity and respect at home, and come to find out that their daughter was transgender, because the child was 13 at the time, I think. 12 or 13. Anyway, puberty had hit. And so now, he was smart enough to understand that he's no longer a she, he's a he, and he wanted to identify as a he, and he was going as a he. And this is something that's very common in Japan, but the Japanese teachers never thought it was important to tell the parent. And during parent-teacher conferences, they lost their minds. Like, what do you mean you don't think it's relevant? So we've been misgendering our kid at home the entire time? Think about that. Like, if you're seriously concerned about children, and you don't want the teacher to tell the parent that the kid is being referred to as a completely different name than what you gave them, is referring to themselves as a boy and acting like a boy in school, and yet when they come home and you're calling them your daughter and you're calling them by their dead name and all this other stuff, like, you don't think that's important? Are you really for the child, or is it more for sexualizing children? I think it's more for sexualizing children. I really do. I think that it's the LGBTQ agenda, or the LGBT agenda in Florida, is to sexualize children. Because now again, there's something that my mother brought up, that I guess in her prayer chain, that the Parental Rights and Education Act here in Florida is giving carte blanche for bullies to bully. It's opening up to bullying. And I'm like, no, it's not opening up to bullying. Teach your kids that there's boundaries, and that other kids have to respect their boundaries. And if they don't respect their boundaries, you might have to teach them that there's boundaries. Right? Quit sheltering and coddling your kids. It's disgusting. Like, what we're doing to the youth today is so here's another thing that was brought up, that teachers are not credentialed in certain types of education, meaning social or emotional. and to hold those credentials is what's important for like a guidance counselor. A guidance counselor can actually teach social and emotional behavioral issues, or can give guidance on those because they're credentialed in it. But just a regular kindergarten teacher is not credentialed in it. So you can't, like, so even though it's the Parental Rights and Education Act, and we're saying that, look, a kindergarten teacher through K through 3 should not, nor will they ever, teach something that's not in curriculum, because, K through 3 is not the right level. And even in John Peugeot's model for cognitive development, he says, like, that's inappropriate at that time, because you're basically going to end up sexualizing a child because they don't understand, they don't know. It's play for them, it's pretend. So one of the biggest things in child psychology is, the kids don't see it as abuse or as sex. They see it as play. It's something that they're doing. They're playing. They play with their family because they're being abused. And so when they're sold into child slavery or whatever, and they're sex slaves, they don't see it as sex. It's play for them. And that's so very sad. But you're going to say, oh, well, they knew that they were heterosexual back at 5 years old, or they knew they were homosexual at 5 years old. They don't know heterosexual and homosexual at 5. And don't say that you knew what you were at 5 either, because you didn't. You're looking at it from an adult lens, looking back at your childhood. It's just like looking at the 1700s from today's moral lens. You're not going to see you're going to see a very immoral 1700s if we look at the 1700s from today's moral lens. But we don't look at the 1700s from the 1700s moral lens. Just like we don't look at a 5-year-old from a 5-year-old's moral lens. We don't look at we don't look at ourselves at 5 from a 5-year-old's moral lens. We look at 5 from our adult moral lens and go, oh, I knew what gay was. I'll tell you right now. I've been asked point blank by many of my friends who wore this hat, because that's who most of my friends are now, is people that I actually can tolerate and stand, and it's mostly maybe cheese. When did I know I was gay? And I can tell you right now, I knew I was gay when I'm not going to mention any names, because I'm friends with some of my, you know what, fuck it, I'll mention some names. I remember a kid that I went to high school with, Jeff Trammell. He was I want to say a freshman at the time when it happened. He was suntanning outside one of the classrooms, and he had the Playboy bunny. It was like a pendant for a necklace, and he put it on his what we all like to refer to as cum gutters, so that when he got his tan, that would just be like an untanned spot, and it would be kind of cutesy. Yeah, I thought that was fucking hot. Not gonna lie. When most of the guys that I was in high school with were looking at the girls and the cheerleaders and whatever and going, ooh, how you doing? And all the girls were looking at the football players, the basketball players, and the jocks, and being like, ooh, how you doing? I was kind of with the girls, looking at the jocks, going, hey, how you doing? Like, that's just the way it was. Like, and I knew the kids weren't worldly. Like, that's just the biggest. They're not worldly. I think that's the biggest downfall in our country, is that we're a melting pot of all these different world cultures, but we're not very worldly. I told a friend of mine, or he's now a friend of mine. At the time, I would not call him a friend, because he just needed to mature, But he said, I remember you telling us that, don't be upset with me because I have some culture and you don't. And I did. I think I had some culture and they didn't, because I like I was telling my friend Mark the other day, I'm your friend, because I'm your friend. I'm not I'm not going to defriend somebody because, my friend Mike says, hey, I want you to defriend Lisa. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to defriend Lisa because you tell me to defriend, unfriend. Like, my friendship with Mike is irrelevant to my friendship with Lisa, and vice versa. Like, and that's like some childish elementary school bullshit. Like, grow the fuck up. I'm not gonna unfriend somebody because you're having a falling out with them. Well, that's your fucking problem. And if you continue to be a jackass, it's now gonna be our problem. But so I don't take sides. I don't take sides. When it comes to two people having issues, I don't take sides. On some of these issues, I'm gonna take a side, and I'm gonna say that I do believe that there's not the Brotherhood of the Chief anymore. That it's woefully gone the way of the dodo. I am gonna say that the LGBT communities likes to have sloppy debate because their arguments are flawed. Fundamentally, that's why we have to go, oh well, you're just transgender missic, or you're homosexual missic, because I can't fight, I can't debate my point with enough merit and validity to go with game, set, and match, like checkmate. Sorry about it. No. Oh, so your checkmate is, oh well, you're just a poo-poo head. I'll take sides on that. I'm going to take sides and say that, that Will Smith and Donald Trump are systems of a bigger issue, and it's not racism. It's we are fighting against a Marxist socialist ideology that's taking hold. And I don't care if you call it democratic socialist. It's still socialism. Oh, so you voted for it, so that's okay. No, it's not. And this whole sexualizing children, it's an LGBT agenda in Florida, and the fact that we've stood up for it, as a gay man, I stood up for it and said, no, I agree with Governor DeSantis. I don't want them talking about it in school. Give me a good reason other than, oh well kids will be afraid to come out as gay. No, they're not going to. Why are 5-year-olds coming out as gay? Why are 6-year-olds coming out as transgender? Unless this is learned behavior that they're observing at the home and bringing to school. Do you guys not see that? Like, in my opinion, that sounds like it's abuse at the home. What does a 5-year-old know about sexuality and gender identity? I think it's fair. I think it's a fair assessment. I think it's an equal assessment, and it treats everyone with dignity and respect. Until we can come up with something more than, well, whatabouts. Well, I don't care about whatabouts. If you're a single parent working 2 jobs, I have what's best. I think that I also have what's in the best interest of your child. You should know what's going on with your child at school. Just like I should know what's going on with my child at school. Just like my buddy Art and his wife Crystal should have known what was going on with their child in school. How about what if we want to actually support them? Do you ever think about that? What if we actually want to support them? Because there's this idea that, oh, well, the parents aren't going to support you. Well, who said? Who said it? But here's the other thing. What about the kids that aren't being sexualized at home and find that kissing anybody, a boy or a girl, is just icky? Are we gonna chastise them and shame them because kissing a boy is icky? Well, kissing a girl is icky. At 5, it should be, right? If not, then again, I think we need to look at the home life of the child and go, oh, that's why the kid wants to French kiss everything that walks, because they're seeing it at home and they're trying to come to school and mimic it. Because that's, oh, and then don't lie to your kids, for the love of fucking Christ. It's French kissing somebody. It's not playing. I'm just playing with daddy. No, you're French kissing daddy. Then tell them, I'm kissing daddy. Or I'm kissing mommy. Or mommy's kissing mommy, or daddy's kissing daddy. I don't care. Whatever the fuck it is. But don't lie to your kids. Because then they mimic you and they take it to school. You know, but I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'll tell you what. I would love. I'll throw a challenge out there. If you're on the other side of these issues, if you think that, you know, calling somebody, if you think that crying wolf every time somebody doesn't agree with you means that I should take you seriously when there is a wolf there, even though you've cried wolf 100 times and there wasn't a wolf there, I'd like to hear your justification, and I want it to be valid and without emotion, because I'm coming at you valid without emotion. I'm not emotional. I'm not stuck in my feelings. There's no hate or malice or miscontent, ill content. I'm coming from a place that's grounded and has merit. You know, if you think that I'll just say right now, I don't think you're ever going to convince me that violence isn't the answer with bullies. I think you need to sock him in the mouth. Like, sock him in the mouth. That's my, that's how I fixed my bully. And you know what? Everybody that I've ever talked to has all said that they stood up to their bully with force if necessary, violence if necessary, to set the boundaries with their bullies. Everybody I've talked to that has ever done that has all said that the bullying went away. The ones that have been bullied all their lives are the ones that never stood up for themselves. In any way. So I'd be curious to see how you never stood up for yourself, but yet the bullying stopped. And you still were around that bully. That's the other thing too. If you think that a teacher that does not have the proper credentialing to teach kids about sex and sexuality is okay for a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, maybe even an 8-year-old, maybe, you know. So this woman actually came up and said, that her child, right, said that her child was getting messages on social media that if nude pictures of this child wasn't sent to whoever this person was, they were going to kill themselves. I'm like, where's the parent? Why isn't the parent supervising the child on social media to make sure that these kind of things aren't happening? And then to fucking squash it in the bud right there. Like, nope. You should not feel guilty about that. I'm sorry. That is 100% abuse. It's abuse of a child. Because they want to help. They don't know better. They don't know any better. Right? The little trans voice came straight out and said, yeah, I didn't know any better. Well, shit, there's your number one. Like, you don't know any better. Where's the parent? Here's an idea. If your child is on social media with behind your back, ground the fuck out of them. Lord knows my mother did. If I did shit that she didn't approve of, she ground the fuck out of me. And you know what the number one thing she used to take away are? These. All this stuff. The shit that I actually cared about. Oh, you take away their fucking PlayStation and they'll watch their tune change. Anyway. Those are the 4 things that were on my mind. I think I've got there's a topic I don't want to broach it yet because I don't know if I'm ready for that level of hate and vitriol from my friends, but it's going to be how I think that we as the LGBT community are fighting an argument wrong, and to fight it the right way means that we're gonna have to find some middle ground, and that's gonna be a little difficult. So with that, the last thing I'm going to say is I've got some friends that don't like Facebook. That they believe the same thing I do. Facebook is shit book. Everything that happens on Facebook is just garbage. Jordan Peterson actually talks about the psychology behind Facebook and why people are so negative on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and a lot of other social medias. How during face-to-face interaction there's an underlying threat of violence that, you know, if we disagree, then it could go to fisticuffs. Where on social media people are more emboldened because there isn't that threat, and so therefore that's why social media turns to crap. Why social media can be crap. And I think that Facebook is a prime example of you know, there's no threat of physical violence behind what you say on Facebook, so therefore you're emboldened to say whatever you want without fear of retribution. And I think that goes for everything. That's why there's racist bullshit on here too, because there's no threat that, you know, oh, you could be racist. Look, you can say some stuff behind a keyboard, but yet you won't say that shit in somebody's face, right? That's what's funny is you know, so why is that? Oh, because of Will Smith and Kevin not Kevin. Anyway, Will Smith, you know, like yeah, and you know, and here's the thing, you know, was it funny to him? Yeah, it might have been funny to him until he turned and he saw the look on his wife's face and how she was upset. You know, and that's fine. I don't know how many men I know that have laughed at somebody else's jokes and then saw that their wife wasn't real thrilled with it, and then all of a sudden they're changing their tune. And that's perfectly fine. You're allowed to do that. Anybody who's like, oh, you know, he was laughing first, get the fuck out of here. Really? Come on. But anyway. So the reason I said I was talking about, you know, getting off of Facebook, I want to go to YouTube for this so that I can get a more broad following, because my friends that don't like Facebook or call it shitbook have literally canceled their accounts, and these are people that I actually care about and would like to get some of their feedback too. So I'm gonna post my Facebook. I'm gonna post my YouTube channel on here. I need 50 followers to go live on YouTube. So if I could get you guys to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'm actually gonna upload this video to that channel, and I'm gonna upload some of my other videos to that channel, so that, you know, people that might think that they like what I have to say can go and listen to more of it. So with that, I'm going to end with my my classic, you stay classy, and we'll see you on the backside.